if somebody had an entity attachment, how would they get rid of it, whether it's demonic or otherwise? This is a really good question, and one that I get asked quite often. So I wanted to kind of make a little video and just share some insights in that for you today. My name's Kapil. I'm a healer from London. I'm trained as a shamanic energy healer, 14 years with an Amazonian shaman studying out there, 20 years working with ayahuasca and other plant medicines, and 10 years or so living in ashrams and monasteries of the Vedic persuasion. So I've got a lot of experience in healing, got a lot of experience in energy work, and I want to bring that experience to you so that you don't have to spend 20, 30 years studying to know what I know. So on the subject of entities, we have to understand that there is a reason why each person is with each entity. It's a relationship. And a lot of people don't realize that. They think it's some outside force that's just coming randomly to attack a person, but it's often not the case. Relationships with entities are a little bit like relationships with people, and we have to realize that every person we attract into our life is attracted because of who we are as a person, because of our habits, our patterns, our behaviors, and what we do, what energetically to project into the universe that then brings us back particular qualities of relationships. Now, the easiest example perhaps I can give you is if you think about someone who's in an abusive relationship. Let's say they have like an abusive partner, someone who beats them, for example. Okay, 8 or even 9 times out of 10, if that sort of person gets out of that relationship, they will often find themselves in another abusive relationship. Why is that? The reason I believe that is because they have certain characteristic traits, certain patterns, certain behavioral habits, if you like, that attract a certain quality of person into their life. Now, those patterns and behaviors come from their own ancient history, from their childhood patterns, childhood beliefs about themselves, who they are, how worthy they feel to be loved in the way that they would like, or not, as the case may be. So we attract these relationships into our lives. If we manage somehow to get out of those relationships without changing the patterns and programs and behaviors and habits and beliefs, then chances are we're going to attract the next person into our life who is as abusive or perhaps more abusive. Often people go from one bad relationship to another, to a worse relationship. And obviously this is not good. And the same is true with entities. We attract entities into our life because of who we are as a person, because of our patterns, our programs, our behaviors, and our belief systems. So if you want to extract an entity, it's not just a case of going in there and pulling the entity out, throwing it away, because it's a relationship. And we need to understand the relationship and why that relationship has come into being in the first place, and how we can change the person who's affected in order to make the relationship not suitable for the entity, so that they, of their own volition, decide to leave or go elsewhere. So, like that, it's all about self-work. The problem with extracting entities is that in the same way that you take somebody out of an abusive relationship and they find themselves in another abusive relationship, if you pull the entity out, the chances are that same entity is going to come back in and be really, really angry that it's been pulled out of its host, or another entity gets in. You can consider that there is a hole in the aura in which the entity gets in or is pulled out. That hole is still there, and it means that it's basically an open invitation for another entity to come in, and you could kind of consider that the quality of the entity is somewhat relatable to the size of the hole in the aura. So if you pull a big bad entity out, there's a big bad hole there that potentially a bigger bad entity could come and get in. So we want to avoid these kind of things. We want to avoid escalating situations. And a lot of healers will want to extract entities because they believe it's the best thing to do, but very often it's absolutely the worst thing to do because it makes things much, much worse. Firstly, when you identify that someone has an entity attachment, if they don't know about it, they're going to get freaked out, and the entity's going to get freaked out as well because they've been seen, and very often they don't want to be seen, they want to hide in the shadows. So when you identify there's an entity there, they get very defensive, they grip harder, they often make things a lot worse for the person. So if you suspect that someone has an entity attachment, probably best not to say anything about it. But you can encourage that person to do their self-work, to look at their beliefs, their self-beliefs, their patterns, their programs, and to kind of clear all of that stuff. And then it makes the place kind of inhospitable for the entity because there's nothing that they can feed on. These entities tend to feed on negative emotional energy. Well, emotional energy, but the negative stuff's a lot easier to elicit, so they tend to kind of trigger people and get them to feel angry or sad or depressed or you know, any of the negative emotions. So going back to the original question, how do we get these entities out? The person has to do their self-work. They have to clear their own patterns and programs and traumas and do the healing work. It's all the self-work, the inner work, the personal healing work that needs to be done. That is the best, most effective way of removing entities from a person's life. These are the types of things that I talk about in my Shamanic Wisdom and Energy Healer training. And if you'd like to know more about that, please visit my website, kapaldesalva.com, and sign up for the course. It's pretty much a year-long training, 6 modules, take place generally over Zoom, though I am open to doing them face-to-face in person if we can organize that. And it is a journey of your own personal healing and learning how to channel energy for healing other people. And we look specifically at issues like this, entity attachment, and clearing, curing, healing all of our childhood traumas and wounding and stuff that attracts entities in the first place. We can do this for ourselves and we can do this for other people. It is a fascinating journey that's very much held by not just myself, but our community. We have a lot of healers in our community, and there's a lot of support for you to go through your own process of clearing and learning how to be a very powerful, very effective shamanic energy healer. It's a professional qualification at the end of it. If you wish to work as a healer, you would be able to do so long before the course finishes, actually, because for those who do want to work as a healer, I'd like to get you on that path as quickly as possible. It's not so difficult to channel energy for healing. In fact, it's one of the easiest things in the world. It's a case of knowing a few techniques and how to use them and tapping into our innate human ability to channel energy from the divine, from Mother Earth, for healing other people. So that aspect of things is super, super easy. If you're also looking for a career change, you're looking to work in a more spiritual field, this is a very, very good, effective, quick way that you can do that. Anyway, drop me a message, reply to this wherever you've seen this video. Drop me a comment, connect with me, and we can get you on this journey. And if you'd like to know more about entities and how to clear those from yourself or from other people, then yeah, you're welcome to talk to me about that as well. Much love, blessings to you, bless your heart, bless your life, bless your family, and everything that you do. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Aho.